Welcome, friends, to another day of learning Kubernetes. Today, we are going to attempt to deploy a WordPress and MySQL project. Let's continue this great day of learning. So it says example, deploying WordPress and MySQL with persistent volumes. It says this tutorial shows you how to deploy a WordPress site and a MySQL database using Minikube. Both applications use persistent volumes and persistent volume claims to store data. Okay, so if you know what a volume is, you'll understand it in a bit. Okay, for a more detailed explanation of volumes, very soon, within the next 2 weeks or so, I'm going to release a video covering everything concerning containers, Docker Compose, volumes, Docker networks, so that you understand. And in that project, I'll Dockerize a fast API application with a database and Redis. So let's go on. It says a persistent volume, and it's calling it PV, a persistent volume. PV is a piece of storage in the cluster that has been manually provisioned by an administrator or dynamically provisioned by Kubernetes using a storage class. So think about a volume, just like you have said. A persistent volume, PV, is a piece of storage in the cluster that has been manually provisioned by an administrator like us. We can manually create it, or dynamically provisioned by Kubernetes using a storage class. Okay, so it can be manually provisioned or dynamically provisioned using a storage class. So let us go on. They're saying a persistent volume claim, PVC, is a request for storage by a user that can be fulfilled by a PV. Okay, so a PVC is simply a request, okay, by a user that I want to store something. Okay, I want to make use of storage. Okay, and that request can be fulfilled by a persistent volume. And they're saying persistent volumes and claims are independent from pod life cycles and preserve data through restarting, rescheduling, and even deleting pods. That's very good, okay? That they are independent from pod life cycles and preserve data through restarting, rescheduling, and even delete. So they don't matter. Even if I delete a pod, reschedule a pod, restart a pod, their life cycle are independent and the data will be preserved, okay? So the volume is simply the means of storage. Persistent volume claim is simply a request to store. Okay, I find that very, very easy to understand. Then I'll move on. Warning says this deployment is not suitable for production use cases as it uses single instance WordPress and MySQL pods. Consider using WordPress Helm chart to deploy WordPress in production. Okay, so take heed of the warning. Okay, let's continue with our learning. They're saying, note, the files provided in this tutorial are using GA deployment APIs and are specific to Kubernetes version 1.9 and later. If you wish to use this tutorial with an earlier version of Kubernetes, please update the API version appropriately or reference earlier versions of this tutorial. Okay, go ahead. Objectives. Okay, create persistent volume claims and persistent volumes. Again, don't forget what has been said here. Okay, this is very key. Okay, so simply the saying create a request. A persistent volume claim is a request for a volume, and the persistent volume is the actual volume. Okay, now remember they abbreviated this as PVC and this as PV. Create a customization.yaml with a secret generator, MySQL resource configs, WordPress resource configs. Apply the customization directory by kubectl apply -k period /. Okay. Then clean up. So as we go through this, okay, my friends, make sure you understand all this very, very clearly. Okay. So we want to understand and achieve these objectives. Okay. Let us go on to the next topic. Okay. It says before you begin, you need to have a Kubernetes cluster, and kubectl command line tool must be configured to communicate with your cluster. Again, if you've been learning with me, this has been done. Okay, we have this already. And they're saying it is recommended to run this tutorial on a cluster with at least 2 nodes that are not acting as control plane hosts. They're saying if you do not already have a cluster, you can create one by using Minikube, or you can use one of these Kubernetes playground. Okay, so we already created one using Minikube. All we need to do, if you don't have the Minikube, because yesterday in the live stream when I was building the flight booking engine, okay, we're implementing forgot password. One of the viewers called Eugene said their resources on their machine cannot allow them to run Minikube. Okay, so I shared with them this. Okay, so this is what we need. Okay, so they're saying to check the version, enter kubectl version. So if your machine cannot run Minikube, simply visit any of these platforms. Okay, and you should be able to have a perfect Kubernetes playground. To check the version, enter kubectl version. We have done this. I won't do that. The example shown on this page works with kubectl 1.7 and above. Download the following configuration files. Okay, so maybe I can show you this briefly. Maybe here I can start my cluster. Meanwhile, then here I can show you the version. Okay, you see mine is 1.34. Okay, what else? Okay, then they're saying we need to download this. Okay, so this is this file. Okay, wait, it just led me to this other file. Okay, it's being downloaded. Okay, I was going to wonder. Let me close that. Let me see, is there a way if I copy this on Mac? You see, if on Mac there's a tool called wget, it will be able to do this, to help us with this. So this is okay. So it's asking, is your server running? Okay, the class is now up. Okay, now we have everything. Okay, so now I can clear my screen. I want to see if I have wget here. Okay, we have it. So I want to say wget that file. Okay, let's download it. So it says it has been saved. Okay, then also I want to pick this one here and copy the link address. Come here, clear my screen. Okay, wget, then the URL. So I download them. Okay, says WordPress deployment saved. So if I clear and I say ls, you see we have WordPress deployment.yaml and we have MySQL deployment.yaml. So not development, but deployment. Okay, so wget is a good tool that comes with Linux and let me say Unix systems. Mac, Linux, they have it. Okay, so if you don't have wget, if you're using Windows, you can just download the other manually by clicking on this. Okay, so they say create persistent volume claims and persistent volumes. Okay, now they're saying MySQL and WordPress each require a persistent volume to store data. Okay, and they're saying their persistent volumes will be created at the deployment step. Okay, so each of them need data. Okay, now, okay, let's go ahead. They're saying many cluster environments have a default storage class installed. Okay, when a storage class is not specified in the persistent volume claim, the cluster's default storage class is used instead. Okay, so when you're making a request, okay, to use storage, and we don't have a default class, okay, what happens? Okay, we simply use the default storage. That's what Kubernetes does. Then it's saying when a persistent volume is created, when a persistent volume claim is created, a persistent volume is dynamically provisioned based on the storage configuration. Okay, so I guess the storage configuration has to specify like the kind of storage we want. Okay, then the persistent volume is dynamically created. So we have warning. They're saying in local clusters, the default storage class uses the host path provisioner. In local clusters, the default storage class uses the host path provisioner. Okay, that is what we have in local clusters. Okay, so it's saying host path volumes are only suitable for development and testing. Okay, so for locally we have the host path provisioner. Okay, and we have host volumes. Okay, they're saying the host path volumes are only suitable for development and testing. Okay, meaning production they're not good. This is good to know. So they're saying with host path volumes, your data lives in the temp directory on the node the pod is scheduled onto and does not move between nodes. Okay, this is good to know. Okay, very important information that it lives in the /temp directory. Okay, and it is scheduled on okay, I mean it lives on the in the temp directly on the node. Remember, a node is just a machine. Okay, a virtual machine or physical machine. So in this physical machine, there's a directory called /temp where the pod is scheduled, and that is where the volume is and does not move between nodes. Okay, so in this case, the host path would be this. Okay, would be /temp. Now they're saying if a pod dies, okay, and gets scheduled to another node in the cluster, or the node is rebooted, the data is lost. Okay, if a pod dies and gets scheduled to another node in the cluster, or the node is rebooted, the data is lost. This is for local clusters. Okay, it is key for us to know this. Okay, so they're saying not if you are bringing up a cluster that needs to use the host path provisioner, the enable host path provisioner flag must be set in the control manager component. Okay, so this flag has to be set if you want to use the host path provisioner. Okay, so the default storage, remember, if you don't specify if you don't specify, okay, a default, if you don't, all of them have a default storage class. Okay, and if you don't specify a storage class, then the default is used. Okay, and in local clusters, the default one is called the host path volume. Okay, which is in this directory. But if a pod dies or scheduled to another node, the data is lost. That is for the default one. Okay, so let's learn that. Let's find out if the information is preserved if it is not a default one. Then they're saying if you have a Kubernetes cluster running on Google Kubernetes engine, please follow this guide. Okay, we're not using that. Ours is local. Then they're saying create a customization.yaml. Add a secret generator. Okay, so you can copy this name. So vim, paste, hit enter. That's the file. You see, customization.yaml, new. Then after they're saying add a secret generator. So they're saying, I want to read this. They're saying a secret is an object that stores a piece of sensitive data like a password or key. Okay, so simply a way of storing sensitive information. Then they're saying since 1.14, the version of kubectl, they're saying kubectl supports the management of Kubernetes objects using a customization file. You can create a secret by generators in customization.yaml. You can create a secret by generators in customization.yaml. Okay, so we're simply creating an object that stores sensitive data. Okay, so they're saying add a secret generator in customization.yaml from the following command. You will need to replace your password with the password you want to use. Okay, so if you know, that's why they say it is important to have Linux skills. Okay, because now cat, what this command of course, I'll make a video about Linux, but just to simply tell you what is going on, okay? This command cat, okay, is passing all this information here you're seeing, okay, into this file, okay, using what is called the here document, okay? This is the here doc. This is the here doc. When you see this symbol here, this EOF, okay, EOF like this, okay, this marks the beginning of the what is called the here document, okay, and this marks the end of it, okay. So this beginning and end allows you to put a text in between it, okay, and this text, okay, is then passed to this file, okay. How is it passed to this file? Using this command here, this greater than sign says get the output from this previous command, okay, and pass it to this, okay. So yeah, that's a bit of Linux for you, okay. I hope that makes sense, okay. But maybe soon I have to make a deep dive on that, okay. What is called it's called the here doc, okay. So let me see this side. Yeah, so this operator marks the beginning of the here doc, okay. As simple as that, okay. This marks the beginning of the here doc, and this marks the end, and then here you can have your any number of lines, okay, that will be passed into that file. So we're going to copy this. Let me come out of this file, paste, okay. So if I say cat customization.yaml, you see that data has been put successfully, okay. But maybe we need to put a password. Maybe I'll put a simple password, okay. I'll change this to, okay, even if you see it won't matter, just put a simple password. So the password is root, okay, root 123. That's not root. Is that the spelling of root? Just like that, okay. So cat customization, okay, there it is. So let's continue with the instructions. They say add resource configs for MySQL and WordPress, okay. Actually, before that, do you notice if I do this, okay, I can move through this document, this here document like this, okay, within the terminal, okay. Let's continue. I don't want to focus on Linux. We shall do that later. They're saying the following manifest describes a single instance MySQL deployment, okay. Now they're saying the MySQL container mounts the persistent volume at var lib MySQL, okay. They're saying the MySQL root password environment variable sets the database password from secret, okay. Again, don't forget secret. How do we set it? What is a secret? Secret is simply an object that stores sensitive information like a password or a key, okay. And they say kubectl supports the management of Kubernetes objects using a customization file. So you can create a secret by generators in a customization file, okay. So you can see, maybe there's something I didn't show you. Let us open this file, okay. You see, we have the secret generator. That's what they're saying. That's what they mean by saying you can create a secret by generators. So we have a secret generator. The name is MySQL pass. This is the key, and the value is the literal, which is this is the actual stuff. This is the name of the secret object, okay. And the actual secret is a password whose value is this, okay. So you can have other things, okay. For example, if maybe your application needed a secret, okay, you'd add it here. Just wanted to make sure that is properly understood. So look at this, okay. MySQL deployment.yaml, okay. This is the file, okay. Now if you look at it, okay, you see the kind is a service, okay. We have a service. What else do I want you to see? Okay, the port, MySQL always runs on this port 3306. Okay, cluster IP none. Okay, this is what I wanted to see. Persistent volume claim. Okay. There's access modes, read write once. Let's continue. They have a deployment. Okay, deployment. So I was going to wonder if there's a service or a deployment. So this service, okay, is to give us access to this deployment. Okay, so they're saying, let us read what was up here. They're saying the following manifest describes a single MySQL instance deployment. Okay, and the MySQL, and they're saying the MySQL container mounts the persistent volume at this location. Okay, so let us look through. So this service, okay, its selector is this. Okay, is WordPress MySQL. Okay, let us look down at the deployment having the same name. See, look at the name. Okay, if the name here is WordPress, and we go to the deployment. Okay, see kind deployment. So you see this dash is separating them, and I move on to. Okay, you can see this label. Okay, this label is also WordPress, so that the server can be able to identify it. Okay, but what is key? The real thing that is going to run is the container. Okay, whose image is this? Because remember, a container is simply a running image. So this is the image. Okay, the name is MySQL of the container, and look at the environment. Okay, they say they now refer to MySQL root. Okay, and they're saying the value is coming from a secret key ref. Okay, the secret key reference. The name is MySQL pass. Okay, that MySQL pass is this one here. This one here. Okay, and then the key that they're interested in is this one, password. Then to go on, they see the name, database, value, WordPress, MySQL user is WordPress, MySQL password. Okay, they're picking it from the same configuration. Okay, they're saying MySQL password is a value from a secret key reference, secret key ref, which is MySQL pass, which is in this, which is this. Okay, in the secret generator. Then the key we're looking for is the password, which is this password here. Yeah, basic. So it's how I understand it. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? So mainly, I think by now you must have understood that Kubernetes is all about YAML files a lot. Okay, you need to we deal a lot with the YAML files, but you also need to know what the YAML file, how to understand them. Okay, and how they work. Okay. Then what else do I want to see? We're still on the deployment. Remember, this is the deployment we're talking about. Okay. Let us continue to, okay, we're done with the environment. Where were we? We're here. Volume mounts. Okay. You see, they say the name is a MySQL persistent volume. Okay. Look at the mount path. It is var lib MySQL. This is exactly what they mentioned up here. Okay. They said the MySQL container mounts the persistent volume at var lib MySQL. Then they're saying the MySQL root password environment variable sets the database password from the secret, which is okay. But that's what I wanted to show you, to confirm to you this. Okay. Then they have another volume saying name MySQL persistent storage, persistent volume claim, claim name, MySQL PV claim. Okay. So this is what you use. We make a request, okay, for a volume using a persistent volume claim. Okay. And this is the name of the volume. Okay. And this is the actual mounting to which directory. This is the directory it is mounted on. So again, I will in the video that I'm going to talk about, where I explain everything concerning Docker, I'll explain volumes properly in detail so that you get to understand it also. If you have any question, please ask. Okay. But again, if you've been learning with me since day 1 to day 16, this day 17 content shouldn't confuse you. Okay. It's very, very clear. And yeah, you just need to read and read again. Fun fact, I am going to read everything again from the first day to this day to make sure I grasp everything. I would suggest you do the same. Then they're saying the following manifest describes a single WordPress deployment. Okay. They're saying the WordPress container mounts the persistent volume at var www html for website data files. Okay, so there are different locations. They're saying the WordPress DB host environment variable sets. Let me select all this and read it at once. The WordPress DB host environment variable sets the name of the MySQL service defined above, and WordPress will access the database by service. I want to read it again. The WordPress DB host environment variable sets the name of the MySQL service defined above, and WordPress will access the database by service. We go on the saying the WordPress DB password environment variable sets the database password from the secret customize generated. Okay, let's now go ahead and see. So this is the deployment.yaml. We see we have a service for WordPress, okay, where our services are simply a way to access our running pods, okay, via the deployment. That's what a service is, okay. And you can see the value, the key values are the same, okay. We have API version, we have the kind, service, metadata, okay, the name of the service is WordPress, okay. It has a label called WordPress, so we can query using this label. Remember how we could query kubectl get services -l, then we put the label, say app equals to WordPress. Then in the spec part, we have the port, okay, port 80. Then we have the selector, okay, says the app, WordPress, the tier, front-end type, load balancer, okay. Remember, load balancer exposes is a type of service that exposes our app to the world. Okay, don't forget we have cluster IP, node port, and load balancer type of services in Kubernetes. Okay, if you've forgotten that, check the playlist. Okay, and find out. Look at the playlist where we deal with services. My Kubernetes mentor, okay, says it's a popular question, interview question to explain the types of services in Kubernetes. We continue. Okay, we have API version 1. The kind is a persistent volume claim. Okay, the name, it has a name called WP PV claim. It has a label called WordPress, which means we can query for persistent volume claims using this label. Okay, in the spec, we have the access mode. The saying read, write once. Okay, this should now make sense that we should read, write once. For the resources request, they're giving the storage. Okay, 20 GI. Then the next piece of manifest is, okay, also version 1, but this kind is a deployment. So we have 3 types of objects here. Okay, we have a service, okay, we have a persistent volume claim, we have a deployment. Don't cram the things, understand them. When you need them, Google them or prompt AI to generate it for you. But when AI generates it for you, you need to review it. Okay, how you review and determine it is correct when you've understood what you're doing. Okay, if AI breaks and it's wrong, you compare with what is in documentation and read more or ask people who are better than you to help you. Okay, as simple as that. But the goal is to understand, not to cram. So we have in the metadata, we have the name, WordPress of this deployment, and it has a label called WordPress. Okay. So we're seeing I'm seeing a common pattern that always this name and app are usually given the same value. Okay. Then spec selector, we have match labels, WordPress, the tier is front end. Okay. Then strategy type recreate. Okay. So in the template, we have the similar values. Then what I'm always interested in is the containers. Okay. We see that we have the image. Okay. This is it. Okay, this is the image, WordPress 6.2.1 Apache. The name of the container will be WordPress. Then we have the environment, env, environment variables. Okay, so we have a variable called WordPress DB host. The value is WordPress MySQL. Okay, another one is called WordPress DB password. Okay, so this value, WordPress DB host, is this one. Okay, WordPress MySQL. Okay, this is the value of this value. Okay, but for WordPress DB password, because it is a secret, it is stored in the object that we learned about. Okay, so a value from secret key ref. The name is MySQL pass. Okay, this one here, the secret generator. This is the name we're referring to here. Okay, and the key is password. Again, I'll show you. This is the key they are looking for. Then when you go up again, there's another environment variable called WordPress DB user. Okay, and this value is WordPress. Okay, so we have a host called WordPress MySQL. Okay, a host whose value is WordPress SQL. We have a database password whose value is from the secret key ref. Okay, what's the name of that secret key ref? It is MySQL pass, this one. Okay, and its key, the key we're looking for is password. So using the key, we shall get the value. Okay, then another one is the user, is called WordPress. The ports, okay, the container port is port 80, and the name is WordPress. Then now we have the volume mounts. Okay, the name of this mount is called WordPress persistent storage. Where is this data going to be stored? In var www HTML. So the WordPress, why? Because WordPress, they're going to store the HTML files and other static files for WordPress. Okay, then actually then the actual volume is defined here. Okay, that the name is called WordPress persistent storage. Okay, and the persistent volume claim, okay, is this. Okay, its actual claim name is WP PV claim. Okay, so this is how I interpret these things. Okay, and if you go up here, that's essentially what they try to say. Okay, when they say the following manifest describes a single instance WordPress deployment. Okay, single instance, because we would have seen maybe replicas, but there's no field of replicas. So by default, it will be one replica. Okay. Then they're saying the WordPress container mounts the persistent volume at var www HTML for website data files. The WordPress DB host environment sets the name of the MySQL service defined above, and WordPress will access the database by service. Okay. When they say by service, they mean this. Okay. Mean there's a deployment. Remember, there's a deployment. Okay. But WordPress accesses you via the service we defined. Okay. The MySQL service. Where is it? So WordPress will use this MySQL service to access the database. No other way. Okay. That's why you see services are important. And they're saying the WordPress environment variable, the WordPress DB password environment variable sets the database password from the secret customize generated, okay, which is via this. All right, now they're saying download the MySQL deployment configuration file. I think we have this already. Okay, we had already downloaded them. Okay, but it doesn't hurt to use curl. But I use wget, but you can also use curl. Okay, with these two options to download. Okay, so just to show you in case you joined late. Clear. Okay, if I paste, there we are. Okay, if I copy this still, okay, paste, done. Okay, if I say ls, there we are, the same thing. So they say add them to customization.yaml file. Okay, so we can add them like this. Okay, look at customization.yaml file. Okay, the thing resources, what we're adding is a key, a block called resources, and inside is MySQL deployment.yaml and WordPress deployment.yaml. Okay, copy. Okay, paste. Actually, here they assume you already know what Linux is all about. Okay, but this is, you can only Google about this, or even my explanation that I gave you at the beginning should be enough for you to understand this. Okay, then we continue to say apply and verify. Okay, so you're saying the customization.yaml contains all the resources for deploying a WordPress site and a MySQL database. Okay, isn't that nice? Okay, so let me open it. Actually, I want to see. So you see, this customization, okay, .yaml, okay, has the first block here called the secret generator. Okay, that has the secret generator called MySQL pass, having literals, which are our password, okay, which is a secret. Then we have resources, which is this and this. So using only this one file, okay, we have our whole thing being managed. Isn't that powerful? It's a powerful thing to learn, okay? So that's why they're saying the customization.yaml contains all the resources for deploying a WordPress site and a MySQL database. you can apply the directory by running this command. Okay, there's something before you run that command, there's something they mentioned up. Where was it? Let's read this again. Okay, it will now even make more sense. They're saying create a customization.yaml. Then they say add a secret generator. This is what we added. Okay, this is the secret generator we added. Okay, and they're saying a secret is an object that stores a piece of sensitive data like a password or key. Okay, it doesn't have to read the things again and again. Since 1.14, kubectl supports the management of Kubernetes objects using a customization file. Okay, supports the management of Kubernetes objects. What are these Kubernetes objects, guys? Remember, we learned about objects. If you've forgotten, go to that video in this playlist and watch. Okay, again, to master it. But what is an object? Okay, for example, a deployment is an object. Okay, a service is an object. Okay, now we're realizing that a secret is also an object. Okay, so we can manage all our objects in a secret in this customization file. It is interesting that it starts with a K. I think maybe they said K because of Kubernetes starting with K, so they didn't want to use C. They think you can create a secret. You can create a secret by generators in customization.yaml. And they say add a secret generator in customization.yaml from the following command. You will need to replace your password with the password you want to use. Okay. So I wanted to just bring you back there for us, even me myself, to get a deeper understanding of what is going on. Now I can copy this command. Okay. But like I always tell you, when I'm doing a command for the first time, I like typing it out. kubectl, okay, apply -k, I think for customization file. Then we specify it's what in this current directory here. Hit enter. So you see, says pass secret, my pass created, service, WordPress created, warning, assertion infinite is ignored for the headless services, service WordPress MySQL created. Okay, so we have two services. Okay, this makes sense. We have a service for WordPress and a service for MySQL. Okay, the service for WordPress is ours. The service the service for WordPress is ours. The service for MySQL is for WordPress to access MySQL. Then you have a volume claim, okay, for MySQL. Then you have another volume claims. Okay, so you see that this is a volume claim for MySQL, and this is a volume claim for WordPress. Again, a volume claim is used to make a request for a volume. Okay, a request for storage. When you think of volume, you think about it as storage simply. Then you have a deployment finally for WordPress and a deployment for MySQL. Okay, so to access the MySQL deployment, the pods in this deployment, you need the service for WordPress. I mean, for MySQL. I mean, for WordPress, yeah. Service for WordPress access this. Service for MySQL access. No, this service for MySQL access this. Okay, service for WordPress access this. Yeah, I was mixing them up. Now they're saying now you can verify all the objects. You can verify that all objects exist. Verify that the secret exists by running the following command. kubectl get secrets. Okay, I'll come here, clear, paste. Okay, so you see it's there. It exists. Then they say the response should be something like this. Okay, name, type, data, age, and the same thing we get: name, type, data, age. Continue. They're saying verify that a persistent volume got dynamically provisioned by saying kubectl get PVC. Remember, PVC is persistent volume claim, a request for us to get to see the volumes. Okay, I'll clear. I'll say kubectl get PVC. So you see what we get. We have this MySQL PV claim, a WordPress PV claim. Okay, so there are two, and that's what we need. Say it can take up a few minutes for the PVs to be provisioned and bound. Ours, we're lucky we got it working. So it says the response should be like this. Okay, a name, status, volume, capacity, access modes, storage class, and the age. Okay, yeah, pretty similar. if I zoom out a little bit, you can see everything. Okay. If possible, zoom out again. Okay. There we go with everything. Okay. But let me just zoom in again. Okay. But you get the point. We have a similar output. This is verify that the pod is running by running the following command. Okay. kubectl get pods. You see, WordPress MySQL. Okay, look at the status. Say container creating. They are not yet ready. Okay, remember this is the desired state. This number here is for the desired state. Then this other number is for the current state. So yeah, we can wait. If I say kubectl get deployment, you see, we have this. Okay, they're not yet ready. Okay, so if I check the rollout of this, say kubectl rollout status. Okay, rollout, then status deployment. I want to say deployment WordPress. Okay, you see, says waiting for deployment WordPress to finish. 0 out of 1 updated replicas are available. Okay, so this is me making use of all the commands we have learned so far. Okay, guys, so do the same. Keep using these commands until it sticks in your mind. I want to continue. So the response should be like this. Okay, this is what we got. This thing verify that the service is running by running the following command. So I'll terminate this. kubectl get service WordPress. Okay, so you see it is of type cluster IP. Okay, see, no, I mean the type is this, the load balancer, not cluster IP. Sorry, but the cluster IP is this. Okay, of course, no external, because we're not on a cloud platform. We won't have this. Okay, there we are. See, the response should be like this. Okay, that's okay. They say not Minikube can only expose services through node port. The external IP is always pending. Yeah, that is correct. But if we were like on a cloud platform, okay, we would have here the external IP. But Minikube only exposes services through the node port type. Okay. What else? They run the following command to get the IP address for the WordPress service. Okay, so it's to create a tunnel. Remember? Okay, so Minikube service WordPress, then the URL. Okay, so we can do that. Say Minikube. Okay, service. Okay, which service? The WordPress service. Give us the URL. Hope it is done running. So it says because you are using a Docker driver on Darwin, the terminal needs to be open to run it. Okay, so this is the URL. You can copy it. We continue. See, the response should be like this. Okay, it says copy the IP address and load the page in your browser to view your site. You should see the WordPress setup page similar to the following screenshot. Okay, it is not clear here. Okay, the thing warning. Let us start by loading it. Okay, error establishing a connection. Okay, so it's not yet done. Okay, why? I'll show you this. If I do this, okay, successfully rolled out. I want to see. So the deployment has worked. Okay, why is it not working? Okay, you see the deployment, the WordPress deployment has worked. Okay, has finished. Okay, I think here 1 out of 1 already, but MySQL is still 0 out of 1. So if I copy this and I say kubectl rollout status, which deployment for WordPress MySQL, you see it has not yet finished. Okay, so you're getting this method error establishing a database connection. Okay. Why? Because our database deployment, the state is not yet, it's still 0. We're waiting for it to come up. Okay. So once it gets ready, we should see our site. Let's continue. The saying, do not leave your WordPress installation on this page. If another user finds it, they can set up a website on your instance and use it to serve malicious content. They're saying either. So you're saying either install WordPress by creating a username and password or delete your instance. My people, important command here. Don't forget. Okay? Either install WordPress by creating a username and password or delete your instance. Okay? Why? If another person finds it, they can set up a website on your instance and use it to serve malicious content. Like you guys now know my password, okay? There's a cleaning up. So run the following command to delete your secret deployments, services, and persistent volume. Oh, I like this. I like this customization file. Okay. I see that using a customization file, we're able to create the secret deployment services persistent at once. Okay. I like it. Instead of having to delete one by one at a time. Okay. It would be stressing to do that. It would be a lot of work. Okay. Let us see our status. So you see, it says deployment successfully rolled out. So if I say MySQL get deployment, you see the current state matches the desired state, current state matches the desired state, and all of them are available. So now we can now create that tunnel. Okay, I can open a tunnel. Say minikube service WordPress, not WordPress MySQL, but WordPress minus URL. Hit enter. Okay, copy this URL. I think it's the same. Looks the same. Here. Oh, yes, it has changed. Okay, it has changed. It has changed the IP. Look at it. Then this WordPress. Okay. If I put the actual zoom in, you see, this is how it looks like. Okay. So I'll zoom in again just for you to see. It's asking me to choose the language. Okay. So I'll choose United States, English United States. Then continue. There we are. Okay. Welcome to your famous WordPress installation process. Just fill information below. Site name. Rebound. Okay. Username. See, instead of why didn't it hide the password by default? Oh, crazy. I'll say that the username, the password is strong. Okay. Email, put the usual common email I use. Okay. Discourage search engines from indexing this site. Okay, for now. So then we install WordPress. Okay, says WordPress has been installed. Thank you. Username, password. Wait, did I cram that password? Did I copy it? I hope I copied it. So it says enter your email, username or email address. Wait, that's not what I want. Okay. I hope it's saved. Did it save? Okay, looks like it's saved. Click remember me. Login. Password is wrong. Says update password. Okay. Who knows? Maybe one time I'll be back to WordPress. Voila. There we are. Welcome to WordPress. Okay. Fun fact, I've never created a WordPress site ever in my life. Looks like we have some success today. Maybe one day I'll get a quick guide on how to use WordPress and use it to make quick websites to eat some money on the internet. Say PHP update recommended. Okay. So yeah, for guys who have WordPress, I guess you can start working from here. Okay. Posts. So you're saying it's a hello world Hello world, let us view. Oh, this is sample page. Okay, this is the page they created for us, a sample page. About Ventures. Okay, so this is the sample website. Okay. Okay. Not bad, not bad, not bad. So I'm seeing here edit. So edit, we can edit the site. Okay. Then you can put, I guess, the templates. I think it's not even something hard. Look at me. I've never used WordPress, but here I am. Okay. Being able to use it. Then here I think this way you can now edit the site. Okay. We're putting stuff, changing things. Okay. Not bad. I guess you can now type a number of things. Airbound Ventures. Here you can change the Airbound Ventures limited. Okay. If I say save, site updated. Okay. What is this button do? You can add section for posts, footers. Okay. See. All right. Not time to learn WordPress, guys. Save. How do I get back? Okay, here we are. So what else? Okay, I'm seeing plugins, installed plugins, add new plugin. Okay, this way I think our WordPress shines with the plugins. All right. We've had some success. Not some, but real success. So I'll close this tunnel. Then do the cleanup. kubectl delete -k. kubectl delete -k /. Okay. Service secret deleted. Service WordPress deleted. Service MySQL deleted. Persistent volume for what MySQL deleted. Persistent volume for WordPress deleted. Deployment WordPress deleted. Deployment MySQL deleted. Happy days, my friends. Okay. So yeah, we've had some good success. By now, for me now, I think I understand what Kubernetes is all about. Okay. Now what I just need to do is to apply it to a cloud environment, be able to read more, research more. Okay. So I hope you've learned something from this series, and read again, practice on your own. Okay. Practice on your own. So thank you for learning with me. See you soon.